That's actually a great strategy. I was also wondering, Sean, that what was the? I'm sure that for different cars that you guys sold, the amount was actually different, right? So the cars were valued at different prices. Uh,
Correct.
right? Was your did were your goals or was your compensation actually contingent upon the size, actually the size of the um, car's worth that you sold? Was that the case?
Um, the the price of the cars are all different.
Yeah, yeah. For example, this the number of sales that you did, uh, were they mostly luxury cars or were they,
There were
normal?
more. It was more luxury cars.
Yeah,
Only people preferred more luxury cars because luxury cars are more able to sell. If
yeah,
they ever decided to sell their car themselves, people
yeah.
would always be more into getting the luxury than more sports edition.
Okay, and that was the case with other sales managers as well. They were all
Yeah,
trying to sell luxury cars, basically.
I mean because the customers were more interested in a luxury car.
Okay, and what would you say that your average sales were in terms of dollar amount for a month?
How much, like how much I was making, or
Yeah, like how much
like
sales?
in total
Yeah,
of cars I was selling, what would be
yeah,
the average?
yeah, yeah, exactly. In dollar
Oh,
amount,
like
yeah.
so. Well, each depends on like each car is like uh, over 20,000. So, I mean, it all depended on the car itself. So, if I was selling 10 cars, in that ten
Yeah,
cars, um,
yeah, that would make 200,000. Yeah,
yeah, something like that, 200,000 or 300,000 with the amount of cars. I mean, 10 cars I would sell a month. It would be somewhere around there.
yeah. Okay. Okay, so that actually helps us project the sales that you did in a different manner. That's
Yeah,
actually very helpful.
because one car is 50,000, the other car is 20,000, the other
Yeah,
car is like 25,000. So it's
yeah,
like, and 10 cars a month. If you sell, it's gonna add up to around that kind of price.
yeah. That's great. So you also mentioned that you coordinated and responded to complex internet sales requests, which then again resulted in increased sales growth and client resolution. So, can you share an example of a time when your response to a challenging sales request actually resulted in direct client satisfaction? For example, if a client called in and they had some sort of a really challenging request in terms of the color that they requested on the car, or the timeline that they gave you or something like that, and you managed to fulfill the request and make them satisfied as well. So
Yeah.
can you
So
share such
there was a
example?
time. There was a time where the customer was asking a typical odd, very odd type of color
Yeah,
that they were requesting, and it was a Camry, but the color was quite odd, and it only had four of that color
oh,
in
okay.
the uh, in California. Um, so I called the customer and I let her know the situation, and in order for us to get the type of color that they wanted, I
Yeah,
communicated with them so that way they wouldn't have to feel like, why is it taking a long time? So I simply said, your car is going to be here on this day. We're going to have to deliver it over here because we don't have it in our uh, lot. So we have to do a delivery. And
okay.
they were like, okay, so yeah, and we brought the car and sold the car. But
That's
it just,
awesome.
but I just let her know that it's gonna take a good 4 to 5 days for the car
Yeah,
to be
here. Okay, so you actually placated the customer by being in positive.
communicating with the customer letting them know and being honest.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. For this position, Sean, do you have anything else that you would like to mention here?
Um, let's see. I mentioned about the Super King, the whole deli that I worked at the deli, and
Oh no, no, no. Just for talking about this position that you were currently handling, the internet sales manager position at Toyota. So, do you have anything to add here? Like any other accomplishments that you can think of, or any challenges that you faced here?
oh,
Uh, do you have anything?
um, I don't, I don't. I mean, everything that we talked about for the internet sales manager and what I did, I pretty much
Covered.
mentioned everything.
Okay, so one last question for this role. Can you sort of recall an instance where your conflict negotiation skills were really critical in mitigating an escalated customer complaint? Did you guys face customer complaints while you were handling car sales, or was that not the case?
Well, I mean, customer always want to lower the prices of the vehicle that they want. So,
Oh,
um, if there was a customer claim, we l- make sure we let them get whatever they want. But when we are running their credits,
yeah,
in order for them to get what monthly payments that they want to buy for the car, when we run their credit, uh,
yeah,
and the credit is really low,
yeah,
then the percentage is going to be high, and the monthly payment is going to be high if their credit is low. But in the beginning, we let them know that we'll try to get you whatever you want
yeah.
with the numbers that you want. But at the end, be, because the result shows that your credit score is really low, the price is going to be high, or or they need to put down more for the car.
Okay, okay. Overall, what would you say that does Toyota have organizational trust with the customer, or did you find that lacking when you came in?
No, everything. When I saw it, the customer service was good. Nothing was lacking. It's just in order for us to please them,
Yeah.
we just have to go what the numbers show us in order
Oh,
for them to get what they want.
okay, okay. Did you encounter any challenges while closing the sales that you were actually going after? And did you have, like, if you did, how did you address those challenges?
Well, I would get the manager involved, and if there was something I couldn't do or not explain the right way, I would get the manager involved in order for him to help me.
Okay, and then if the manager would step in, the chances were that they would actually help resolve the said situation, right?
Yeah, if there was any situation that I couldn't do, then we'd get the manager involved.
And how often did you have to do that?
Not always, not always. Usually the manager is the one who does the numbers anyway.
Yeah.
So the when it comes to that process, it was mostly the manager's job.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. And
I,
you just mentioned that it wasn't always the case. So, what strategies did you usually use to overcome any objections that the customers have and finalize those sales? There are always customers that are just like there, right
mhm.
there, they're like about to close, but yet they don't. So, if, for example, they encounter any objection or they suddenly have cold feet, so what strategies did you use to overcome those sort of challenges?
To overcome those kind of obstacles and situations, would basically just simply tell them if you want. Normally, problems happen when customers don't want to pay monthly payments of a really high number of a
Yeah.
monthly payment. So I simply just tell them, in order to lower down your monthly payments, you'd have to put in a little bit more down, so that way your monthly payments would be less and then more affordable for you to pay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I guess we have covered everything for this position.
Perfect.
Let's move on to the server position at the village. Can you tell me a little bit about this role? What were your responsibilities, and what sort of initiatives did you work on?
Which part
Uh, for as a
of
server, yeah,
as a server?
as a
Oh,
server, like
okay,
what were
waiter.
your responsibilities? Yeah, basically,
The responsibilities as a server was just basically taking their order, writing it down on the notes, and then putting the order into the computer, um, and just getting their food prepped up, ready to go.
okay. So, like, did you make any changes to the processes that were currently there in place? Like, did you improve any processes, or did you take any initiatives to um, help improve sales or customer experience, something like that?
And just out of when it comes to a server, the as a customer, as a server, I would just um, to improve my service.
Yeah,
And if they feel like they are getting frustrated on why the food is taking long, the
yeah,
best way for a customer for to be pleased by a server is always communicate.
yeah,
Let them know what's going on, and just be on top of your work, and so
yeah.
that way they can see how well my service is just to give them um a lot of um, what's the word, uh, a lot of
Like,
um,
you need.
just a lot of comfort to show them
Okay,
that their needs are a lot more important at that moment.
okay, okay. So yeah, you make them feel like they're needed and they are important.
Wanted and yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. So, like, what were the key challenges when you came in, um, for as a server at the village? Like, what was the restaurant going through? What were the key challenges that they were having with regards to any food preparation challenges or serving challenges or anything like that?
Um, the challenges were just if it the food was taking a long time,
Okay.
and the orders weren't. I mean, this is more towards the company. Um, the computer would shut down time to time, but I don't know if that's the right thing to say because it slowed down the process, but it wasn't our fault. But the challenges were basically kind of like the computer was always running um,
Okay. Yeah.
slowing
No.
down.
No. I get it. So, but like, what I'm trying to get at is that how did you overcome these challenges in order to provide excellent customer service at your end? Did you undertake any initiatives, or did you suggest some improvements, like something to that effect?
Oh, I mean, to situations, if I would just get the write it down on the piece of paper, and I'd go to the chef, give it to them, so that way they wouldn't have to wait too long. So,
Oh,
I
so
and
you
then
sort of
take.
improvised.
I'm sorry.
I mentioned that you sort of improvised the process
Yeah, I
because
was
it was taking
improvising.
a lot longer. So you came up with a solution for that. You improvised and you started going to directly to the chef and telling him
Yeah,
what the order was. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, so that way they don't have to wait too long. So I would improvise and then put in the order when everything was a lot better. Then I'd put it in the order after at the end of the night.
Oh, okay. Like, but initially, how it worked was that you entered the order into the computer, and
Correct.
then the chef would get the order, and
Correct.
then he would. Okay, okay. So you sort of bypass that and try to make it a little efficient.
Exactly.
Okay, okay, that's great. Can you you just mentioned your strategy for efficient deliveries. But like, what was the customer issue resolution rate before you joined? Did you in any way impact that rate? You just mentioned that the food delivery was taking a lot of time. The computer would shut down, so that would also contribute to that. Were there customer complaints because of that?
Oh yeah, but we made them try to understand that that it's not us. It's we're having the
Technical.
problems with putting in the order. So um, again, communication is always the key for good customer service, and
Oh,
so that way they feel like they know what's going on.
mhm, okay. How would you say, like, can you quote a number then again for how much you impacted the rate of customer issue resolution? Like, for example, it was at so and so, the customer issue resolution was like really down, and it was at so and so rate. But like, due to the process that you implemented, the food delivery got actually more efficient, and the customer issue resolution rate went up. So can you quote an amount, by what amount did that rate went up?
Well, I was always they would always the managers would always say give customers a comment card, so
Yeah.
that way to see if there's any what were the good and what were the bad towards
Okay.
the service. And I was always top guys that would always get comment cards, and everything was always good because no always customers were saying Shaunt was always good because the communication was always excellent and always letting us know and made us feel uh, uh, aware of what the needs and wants were.
Right. Okay, that's actually great.